Hello everyone, this is John from WP Mayor, and we're going to be reviewing the BreezingForms plugin for WordPress. BreezingForms originated as a Joomla extension, but recently it's been converted to WordPress. A good thing to know is that there are two versions of BreezingForms, one of which is the free version available at wordpress.org, and the second one which is the Pro version, which we'll be looking at today. The Pro version has a few extra features compared to the free version, namely mobile forms, Dropbox integration, Salesforce integration, and upload image preview, more than 25 form themes, sample forms, and of course, professional support. When it comes to pricing, you have three different options when purchasing BreezingForms Pro. There's the 1-year subscription, which gives you the latest version of BreezingForms, plus of course 1 year access to updates. You've also got access to the themes for 1 year, but you've also got 6 months of support. Now there's a difference than most other plugins in that you get only 6 months support instead of 1 year, which is the usual level. So we'll get into that later. But going forward to the 6-month subscription, it's basically the same as the 1-year subscription, but all the amounts are halved. Then there's the professional subscription, which gives you both WordPress and Joomla plugins. You've got all the BreezingForm apps made by Crosstech, all the BreezingForm themes, and unlimited access to all current and future Joomla templates. Plus you've got 1 year of support. So this is ideal for those people who have both Joomla and WordPress websites to support. With regards to pricing, as you're seeing, there's the $69 for the 1 year, 6 months costs $39, and the professional subscription, which I remind you gives you unlimited access to all current and future WordPress and Joomla plugins, is available for $199. I also wanted to highlight some of the discounts we find here. We've got a recurring customer discount of 50%. So basically, if somebody buys a 6-month subscription or a 1-year subscription and later decides he wants to buy a professional subscription, all you have to do is email Crosstech and they'll give you 50% off the professional subscription. Then there's also an interesting third-party discount where you get 25% off if you're moving from another Forms plugin. So if you've used any other WordPress Forms plugin and you are not satisfied, all you have to do is send a quick email to Crosstech with a proof of purchase of the other plugin, and they'll give you 25% off the BreezingForms Pro plugin. Okay, so now I'd like to go ahead and show you some of the demos of the forms right before we get into the dashboard and actually see how BreezingForms works on the backend side. But this is the front end. This is how your forms will look and the elements they can contain. So this is a job application form, which consists of different sections, each having their own fields. And you can see some of the fields that you can use with BreezingForms. All of them are very functional. And you've also got a CAPTCHA here, even help here. And what I wanted to say is that this form doesn't necessarily have to look like this. There are different themes, as I mentioned earlier, and you can just select a different theme, which changes the look completely. Here's an interesting demo. Here we have all the possible and available elements within BreezingForms. So we've got things like text fields, text areas, radio buttons, select buttons, or drop downs, multiple select. You've also got a file upload button. You've got a calendar. Let me show you the calendar. It's the one we've seen in the previous demo. You've got a PayPal button and also direct payment button, and also a section that holds text elements arranged in line. So instead of beneath each other, these fields here are side by side or in line. Okay, so that's all elements. Then we've got the file upload with progress bar. So I've prepared 2 files, and as soon as we go ahead and enter the CAPTCHA security code and submit, you'll see a nice progress bar. Again, this is for the users, so they have some feedback about the file uploads. Another example here is a character counter or characters left counter, and you can set a limit on the text field with regards to the number of characters it can contain. As you can see, the number of characters is decreasing as we speak. Of course, an important feature with sophisticated form plugins is the ability to have conditional fields. And right here you have the conditional fields in action. So all we need to do is click one field and that will trigger another field. One of the nicest things of this plugin is that the fact that it can create mobile forms. So what do we mean by mobile forms? Let's have an example right here. So this is a form which is on a website, on a normal website, and we need to see what happens if a customer opens that exact same form on a mobile device. So I'm going to trick my browser, trick the website into believing this browser is a mobile browser, and we'll see how it looks. So I'm gonna go ahead and resize the page, and this is a typical mobile resolution. And just before I do that, I'm going to change the user agent to be an Android. So here we have it. So this is the way the same page will look on a mobile device. So as you can see, it's really easy and looks much nicer on a mobile device than as if there was no mobile version at all. So this is really one of the best features of BreezingForms Pro. And I highly recommend this plugin if you want mobile forms like this one. Let's take a look at the documentation available for BreezingForms. So I've gone ahead and clicked on the support link and BreezingForms right here. And we've got the Joomla support and the WordPress support. Obviously, what concerns us is the WordPress support. And we've got instructions for installing BreezingForms, creating a simple multi-page forms, and creating mobile forms. And also some other documentation sections here. Now, I'm pretty happy with the documentation available, although it must be said that the Joomla version has a user manual, which is as yet missing from the WordPress version. My only guess is that since it's a newer version, as I said, Joomla, it was originally a Joomla plugin and then was converted to WordPress. My only guess is that the user manual is yet being written up. So I hope to see even a classic how-to mode, and the user manual go up here in a short while. But the documentation, for all intents and purposes, is quite helpful. Right, so it's time to test the admin section of BreezingForms. So I've gone ahead and installed BreezingForms on a multi-site version of WordPress, but actually it works exactly the same on a normal installation. And you can see that we've got a new entry in our dashboard, BreezingForms. So I'm gonna go ahead and click that one, and we're taking to the BreezingForms main screen. Now I have to say that I'm not really a big fan of this interface. It's not 100% WordPress native UI, and as you'll see, I think it feels a bit like it's apart from other systems. Probably it looks similar in Joomla, I don't know, but it really doesn't feel so intuitive as the rest of WordPress feels. You have another menu right here. As you can see, there is no submenu, which we're used to right here. For example, here we have a submenu, but here we don't have that submenu. So the guys here have shifted away from the WordPress UI in favor of this menu, secondary menu right here. So you have the records, which are the entries basically. Then the forms we will create. Then there's the concept of scripts, which are basically JavaScript elements which you can drop into your forms, and pieces, which are PHP snippets, which you can drop into your form. And of course, there's the configuration screen. Right, so let's go ahead and create a form. So we'll go to the forms page, and we hit the new button. Now notice again that there are these buttons here, which in the WordPress interface are grouped here. So I would suggest that the authors of this plugin move those into that interface. And you can actually put the copy publish. Probably the copy link would probably go best right here in one of these. And the add new would fit very nicely up here. So that's how the interface can easily be made more WordPress, more native WordPress. But anyway, let's go ahead and create a new form. And we just need to hit the new button. So now it's the interface for creating a new form. And again, it's really quite different from what I'm used to in WordPress. Moreover, there's really not much indication what title and name should really represent. So there's no little tiny button that gives a pop-up with some help. Again, it's something small, but I think it would really make the user interface much more friendly. So anyway, we have to create a title and name, which I'll just leave as they are right now. Then you can enter a description. You can choose whether the last page is actually a thank you page or not. You can also set mail notifications. For example, I want to be notified myself when somebody fills in the form, whether to include a submit button and the label. So submit the form or just submit. You can also include paging or not include paging, next and previous page labels, a cancel button, and the label of the cancel button. So that's pretty straightforward, apart from the little confusion right here where you don't really know what format the title and name should have and what they're actually used for. So I save the properties. However, after saving the properties, the form is not actually saved. So if we go back to the forms screen, we won't find our form. I'm just gonna hit the back button on my browser and we're back to our form. However, there's a slight misunderstanding from my end here about the save button for the form itself. And the save button is actually here. And notice that there's no color coding of the buttons themselves to show which one is has the highest priority. So this one saves the properties, but to save the actual form, I need to hit this button. And going back to the forms screen, I find my form. No, that's okay, but I really wish that this saving interface or saving method would really be clearer, because it's a bit confusing right now. I'd also like to show you the advanced functionality or advanced tab of a form. So we hit the advanced tab, and again we are presented with a similar screen. So we've got some other options here, which are actually just a continuation of these options. And we're also, but an important thing here is that we can select the theme. So we've got a number of themes here, which you can select. And we'll see them in a moment once we've inserted the form on a page on our front end. So there's also some other options here. Again, I don't really like the fact that the options are divided into these options, then some more options, and other options, and form options. I think there should be really something more, integrated and really coherent. So anyway, here are some other form settings, for example, related to notifications, integration with MailChimp, Salesforce, and Dropbox, and also the scripts and form pieces. So I remind you that the pieces were the PHP scripts you can drop in, and the JavaScript refers to the JavaScript snippets of code that you can use with your forms. This is quite, I would say, one of the unique features of this plugin. So it's quite a good thing with BreezingForms. I've never seen the concept of scripts and pieces in other forms plugins. Anyway, so we're going back to our form, and we're going to save everything just to make sure. And yeah, this we can also do a preview here, which is very handy. Obviously, the form is blank because we don't have any elements. So let's go ahead and create an element. But before we create an element, actually, I can show you these structural buttons here. So with BreezingForms, you can create sections on the same page as we've seen with this demo, or you can also create multi-page forms. And this is one of the best features of BreezingForms. So I'm going to go ahead and actually create a multi-page form. So I'm going to create a page, new page, and into this page, after saving to make sure, I will insert a new element. So the element will be a text field, and I'll just set that as name and surname. Okay, so that will be set as required, and I can also set some other properties here, but they don't really apply to this text field. So hit save properties, and there it is. So I'm gonna go ahead and create another page. So we've got some issues here. Okay, I've saved it, and I'm gonna try to create another page. Okay, that's it. And again, add another element here. This time I'm going to add a text area. So the interface is similar. Let's say just comments. This is quite, of course, a test form. So don't really take any notice of the labels and fields I'm inserting here. So this should be enough to get a first glimpse at our form. So I'm going to hit the preview button, and we've got the first page, which I fill in, and I can submit. Obviously nothing happens here. Anyway, so we also can create more pages, but I also want to show you how to create sections. So page 3 will just create 2 new sections. And you can actually change the positioning. So if you want to nest one section into another, you can drag and drop. Now this is actually one of the nicer things in the interface of BreezingForms. With this interface, it's very easy to build complex forms. With other plugins, which I will not mention here, but we all know what the other plugins are, there's a sort of drag and drop interface, which might be more suitable for simpler forms. However, with BreezingForms, which is really made for enterprise level forms, it's easier, in my opinion, to build a form using this interface right here. So I'm just gonna go ahead and put this section back where it was, save the properties, and add an element to this section. Let's add a captcha and save the properties. Then I'm going to go ahead and add a calendar element, and let's save the form and see how that looks. Actually, if I press the button here, I can navigate to the new sections. So here I have 2 different sections, which of course, since we're looking at a very plain design, we cannot see the different sections. Okay, so it's time to check out how we can include our form into our page. And it's very easy. As you might have guessed, we're gonna use a shortcode. So I created a new page called our test form, and we've got this button here relating to BreezingForms. So we hit that button, we select a form, and click the add shortcode button. Hit the save or update button, and on the front end side of our system, we have this form appearing here. This is using one of the themes, which of course we can change in the advanced section of our form. Let's take a look at some others. So the tricky save, and we're back on the front end. So this is another variation, and let's try yet another one. So I'm gonna go ahead and click this one, save, and just to make sure, yeah, and we'll just refresh this page. So this is another version of our form. Now it's good that, on the one hand, it's good that there are a number of themes included, but on the other hand, I really doubt if I would include one of these themes on my site. I mean, every site has its own design, so you really wouldn't probably want to make use of these themes. In my opinion, they're not really very modern looking themes, so I wouldn't say this is one of the best features of this plugin. However, again, it must be said that you are free to style these forms in any way you wish. So this is just something extra which is provided, but in no way does it reduce any of the merits of this plugin. So we've created a form, we've displayed it in our page, and we've seen it on our front end. That brings us to the conclusion of our BreezingForms review. Just one thing I wanted to mention is the issue of the support. 6-month support in the case of 1 year, and 3-month support in the case of a 6-month subscription. Now I've gotten in touch with the developers of the plugin and asked them about this anomaly. And what they said is that the support is really intensive and they help clients build sophisticated forms. So the support is kind of more personalized than what you get with other plugins. And in that sense, they justify the use of 6-month support in the case of 1 year and 3 months in the case of 6 months. And the fact that most probably whoever has questions would have asked those questions within those few months after purchasing the plugin. However, I don't really feel this is the right way to go about support. I mean, having half your subscription without any access to support doesn't really sound very nice. At least even from a marketing and sales point of view, I don't think that it would attract me in buying this plugin with this feature. The good thing is that they've informed me that they're really trying to implement an extra level of support. So to fill in that gap, they might release some support package. But at the moment, there's nothing. So that's what we have right here. 6 months for 1 year and 3 months for 6 months. I mean, support. Anyway, so I think it's actually a promising plugin, but I would really recommend that the developers improve the user interface. And with having said that, the features are quite good. In fact, we've seen quite a number of interesting elements like the direct payment button, which I haven't come across on other plugins. And it's actually quite easy to build complex forms, and the Salesforce and Dropbox integration are also nice features. So having said that, it's a good plugin, but I also think that it needs to be improved in order to compete with the current leading WordPress plugins out there. Thank you for joining me in this review, and we'll catch you in another review on wpmayor.com.